Hi, everybody. If you have been here before, you would have met me before, but my name is Haunani Pao, but you can call me Nani. And this is some talks that I started a couple weeks ago with Build Space, and it's called Fusion Talks because it's going to be a bunch of talks with a bunch of people, and it's the intersection of creativity, coding, and collaboration in the Web3 space. And so I have a whole string of talks. And today we're going to be talking with a mate of mine from the Web3 Hawai'i collective. His name is, can't give you his other name, but his name is Skylor Tengan. Hi, Skylor. Thank you for coming.
Hi, how are you guys?
This is a this is kind of an interesting story. So I joined this collective. I was invited, and we were doing a hackathon together. And I I ended up getting the role of developing. And I think Skylar, he has a lot of developer skills, but he's also has a lot of art skills. So I think you designed a lot of the game, right? That we
Uh,
did.
you know, I did a bit. I was trying to get into UX and UI design, but I couldn't really find myself to get a position for that here in Hawaii. I just feel like it's very small market for that here, and so I just decided to transition straight into you know development.
I see. Well, I think for the hackathon we did, it was a something we did off of Flappy Bird that our mentor, who is Sean Matase from Third Web, he kind of encouraged us to do this, and then it was a few of us. It was like I joined. I was the latest one, and I just kind of said, "Can I please join you?" But everybody took a bit of a role, and I remember Skylar taking the role of he created a lot of the graphics, and I think you were one of the people who knew Flappy Bird better than I did. Um, uh, I remember being kind of terrified of C sharp and Unity, but
Yeah.
it was kind of a fun game. It was a fun event to do, and I think the best part of that was the fact that our little community, we still talk to each other. I mean, this morning for me, I don't know how long we sat and talked on Discord about all kinds of things, which I still always appreciate what we do.
Yeah, for sure.
So I actually want to talk to you about some of the things that you do. So why don't you give everybody, introduce yourself and tell people about who you are and what you do in Hawaii.
Yeah. So my name's Skyler. I go by um Skylor Tengan, my government name.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got into development because, I really thought well, I got into crypto, I guess you could call it crypto, but in 2017, and I kind of, got drawn in with the whole Bitcoin and alternative money, and and then the run up happened in 2018. Everything crashed down. Lost a lot of money. Left the space. Came back in about 2020, right when everything started to pick up. DeFi summer had happened, and all of these like the bull run had just started again. So that's like literally when Bitcoin went from like, I think it was like 12,000 to like, it went all the way up to almost at 69,000 or something crazy. And,
Yeah.
of course, I got sucked into NFTs because it was all the rage at the time. And so, I kind of was like, I was in a Discord just, degenning, trading NFTs with these people. And then one of these, they did a presentation about these re-entrancy attacks. And basically, what it is that um, people would use these like other smart contracts to basically, you know, just how do you say, like, just bought these contracts and mint all of these NFTs and then just dump it. And so I just thought it was really interesting how they
Oh,
were
good
able
job.
to just
Is that
yeah,
what
they
you
were
said?
just able to like not they were able to take advantage of these like things in the contracts. And so, it really is up to, like these people to find them, security and whatnot, right? So I got very interested in that, and I was like, wow, this is like really interesting to me. So I wanted to learn more about it, and I kind of just stumbled upon like this local community that we had here in Hawaii of just people who were the same as me, like that liked NFTs or trading NFTs,
So is that the
and
Web3
then it
Hawaii
kind
one?
of no, actually, this was Sean actually
Oh,
had a he was in one of the groups as well, and it was a local group that they were more about streetwear stuff. They had a company called Fitted here in Hawaii, and they do streetwear. And I knew the manager at the time. His name was JJ, and he was in another Discord, and then just so happened he's like, "Oh, you're from Hawaii, blah blah blah." And then I was like, "Dude, I know you." And then it kind of went from there.
right.
Sean had his own thing going on. He was already doing tutorial videos and things like that. So I kind of gotten into the no code thing from
Yeah,
him, and I noticed he was from Hawaii. So, I wanted to support all the people in Hawaii. And
yeah.
so I just, kind of got into his thing. He ended up doing like an NFT thing that, sold out. And we kind of just went from there. Always like, Sean would always do these things, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, that's interesting, and kind of like learned a little bit from like all of his tutorials and all of like his, you know, content he was putting out basically. So that's how I kind of got started, and now we're
Uh,
here.
so I guess we're going to call Sean Watase like a gateway drug into Web3 and learning the code for it.
Yeah.
I have to say though, Sean will be talking with us in a couple weeks, so you get to meet Mr. Watase. But if you are curious now, look on Third Web and look for their tutorials. He does a lot of the tutorials, and they're very useful. It's a great way to learn at least coding for what you have to think about when you make something in this space. So I hear
Yeah.
what you're saying there. He's a bit of he's a bit of a gateway drug, I would say, just to get better at coding and things. But back to you, I do remember seeing some of your art. It's quite pastel, or uh,
Y-
sometimes my English is bad because I cannot remember what it is in English versus American English. But it's. I remember seeing a few of your avatars and some of your NFT works, which are really quite sweet and kawaii looking. Um, so so well, we heard about your origin story. You kind of fell down the rabbit hole. You got committed to hanging out with a bunch of people and on Discord, and then of course you started learning coding because that's where I remember with you. But another thing I know that you do is you have your blockchain in paradise community. So I was wondering, how did you get your community together, and what do you guys do?
Yeah, so actually, the blockchain in paradise community is really just we wanted to have a community of people that wanted to, connect in real life and make relationships with people that, honestly liked NFTs and talked about cryptocurrencies and, blockchain technologies. I know it's I know other people are out there, and so I wanted to connect with as many local people because, in the end of the day, Hawaii has these regulations put on, all of the exchanges, and
Can you share
I
some of the
wanted to,
regulations, please? We don't know that in
yeah,
New Zealand.
yeah. So Hawaii, it was actually like one of the last states to actually allow, the buying and selling of cryptocurrencies.
Mm.
Actually, maybe I think like New York, us, and like there's another state, but we had very heavy restrictions. Like we couldn't use any type of exchange for like a long time, and up until maybe I think it was 2000, yeah, literally 2020 is when they actually like let people start buying from exchanges legitimately.
Oh,
They had a pilot program called the Digital Currency Initiative Lab, and
Yep.
that was only supposed to last 1 year. But what had happened was they ended up extending it out for like another 2 or 3 years. And so I was like, getting into the development scene, I was like, this is really going to hinder the people of Hawaii, like the communities that are actually like this technology can help, right? And so, I was like, we need to band together a community of people and show like the legislature, like we have a presence here, and like you know, we actually can, have people that these laws are going to affect if they don't pass things. So that's kind of where the idea originated. And I saw that other people had groups that were all siloed off, that, were kind of just, like they do their own thing. And then another group comes and they try to do their own thing. And it was all like segregated. And so I was like, okay, I just want to have one group that just like whatever you talk about whatever at this one group, right? And so me and these other guys had the same idea, and we kind of all came together. Actually, Sean is one of them, and we just met together and talked about NFTs. Like our group was more about NFTs, but there were people who are also like very much into the blockchain scene here in Hawaii for, just as a technology, and they were interested in it, and it kind of just went from there.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we have sort of this similar thing here in New Zealand. I know that there's a couple of groups. Some of them they meet like they'll meet at a pub, and I think they get together and talk. And I've tried to think about going there. It just hasn't worked out. But some other groups, they're more want to be the coders, and they're also a bit far away from where I am. And I think they're university students and they're just making things as they go along. So I think we have that silo thing going on here as well. We do have uh, we have a group called Callahan Innovation, and I do think they seem to be trying to support small entrepreneurs who are doing some blockchain projects, but it feels like what you were going through in Hawaii is what we're going through right now here in New Zealand. It does seem a bit solid. So I am wondering how did you bring them together and just get them all because into one group? I think what I remember about your group is you have about 40 or 50 people, which I think is pretty impressive actually
Well,
for Hawaii.
that was during like the bull market, right? Like when everybody,
Oh,
it's pretty rough right now. Like, I mean, granted, we still get like 10 people, come out. So it's just like during the bull market, crypto is like a buzzword. NFTs are a buzzword.
yeah,
Everybody's talking about it, right? And
yeah,
you kind of get like these fair weather tourists, I want to say, come, and then they're like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They're super like gung ho about it. And then like when it's bear market, nobody's talking about this stuff. It's kind of like brushed under the rug now with all the AI stuff that's come out. And it's just, it's tough, but you just gotta stick with it. And we're kind of just here, just keep building. So
can I ask you about the AI market in Hawaii? What's been going on there?
you know here in Hawaii, it's a very weird situation. There isn't very much development on tech based things here,
Hmm.
and like the government, like the state, is really trying to kindle this tech startup kind of vibe here in Hawaii. But it's just there's not enough builders here. There's not enough people making things that people want to put money into. And it's tough because a lot of people that there are a lot of tech people here, but there's no companies that are like doing development in Hawaii, like local companies, right?
Right.
A lot
Right.
of the
Are these
companies,
people working with companies like in the mainland or somewhere else?
yeah, they're all like remote people that work for mainland companies here in Hawaii, right? So there's no local company building things here, whatever. And frankly, I think like you know, small businesses here, especially in Hawaii, their last like kind of like, the last thing on their mind is building an app or doing something like that, right? A lot of the
Yeah,
small businesses here, they want to have like an email for their domain, or like, something that's like very, the first level of that tech stack, right? Like their last thing is making like, a whole application that people can come and buy their stuff through, right? So it's just different. I think Hawaii
yeah,
is it's behind the times, right? You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. Sometimes I wonder about that here in New Zealand. I don't know many. I know one company, um, one or two companies that are doing NFTs. One is non-fungible labs. They did Fluff World. It's like these 3D avatar bunnies,
I've seen
and
that. Yeah.
you've seen them. Yeah, they're very cute. They have, they're like you can have them all different colors. They have different backgrounds, different music, and they use some technology called from altered state machine. It sort of gives them a brain, um, and they are. I think they've come together and have look for Futureverse out there on Google it. It's just quite lovely to know that they're here, that there's something going on. So
Yeah.
I don't feel like we're behind the times. Because I know a few of my friends they left here to go to Australia and work for Immutable, doing the
Mm,
gaming there. So it's one of those things where I feel you. I understand where
yeah.
you're coming from. So if I could just bring it together, some of the struggles that you've had is just dealing with fair weather friends, or as you called blockchain tourists, which I think we should make an NFT collection called blockchain tourist.
Yeah, it really is.
You
It
know,
really is though. You see a lot of that in especially in the crypto scene. It's very cyclic,
yeah,
and
yeah,
uh it's just like, the amount of like the amount of things that, it NFTs can bring to the table. It's like, it's not just, how you say it, collectibles, right? Like you can bring like the gaming aspect is so like the lowest hanging fruit, right? But you know, as you know, gamers really hate NFTs. Like they despise NFTs so badly, and they will fight it to the end.
I don't know.
uh,
I mean, my avatar for World of Warcraft, I wish she was an NFT because I put work in her and she's awesome. But I hear you. I hear you for sure.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
That I know a lot of artists don't care for it. I know a lot of artists, and you know what? I don't blame them. I think there's been shenanigans that have gone on in this industry
Yeah,
um, that really makes it challenging to want to support it and want to participate. The thing I love, I think it's the thing that we did this morning. We sit and talk about what are we using for I think what you said bun AI, which I say is Manapua, is very cute. Uh, but um, uh, it was those kind of things where we're just sitting and having conversations as a community and cheering each other on and saying what you're doing, and that part I find really comforting and really the where I've been encouraging people to go instead of trying to jump into some of the technology or jump into crypto or anything. I say look for the communities because a lot of the communities thrive without really. You're not sitting there coding. You're not buying an NFT, but you are trying to share information and understand more about what you need to learn. So
yeah, for sure. I just
that's
think like if people are trying to get into it, like, just use the technology, because that's how
okay.
I started, right? Use the technology, and then the more you get comfortable with it,
That's good. I'm going to
it's,
ask you, what would you recommend for people to learn more about Web3? Use the
oh, there's,
technology. Where should they start
yeah,
first?
so I really think, yeah, just get them, figure out how to use a MetaMask wallet, self custodian your own, your own crypto. You know what they say, not your keys, not your coins, right? So custodian your own
Yeah.
just learn how to use the key phrase, the passphrases, and just private keys. Learn how to use Etherscan. It's all like these terms, right? But,
Yeah. What's
kind of.
Etherscan again?
So Etherscan is just like the public uh, interface for like the blockchain.
Right.
So it's very much like I don't know if it's centralized really, but it is the way that you like the graphical interface for the blockchain. You can do a lot of
Right.
contract interactions through it. You can look
Right.
up wallet addresses. You can also verify contracts. So it's kind of like a good thing to know, especially if you're dealing with you blockchain, Ethereum stuff. So
So was that some of the things that you were learning to do when you were creating code? Is that you were interacting with this Ethernet scan and then being able to make something or transact that way?
slightly, I think it really came from minting NFTs though, because what
Right.
people would do is they would mint directly from the contract, and so they would bypass the front end of the website and just mint directly from the contract through Etherscan. So there's no graphical interface, and you could
Oh
be
wow.
quicker than everybody else. And
Oh
so
wow.
I started doing that, and because you kind of feel like a hacker or whatever, you don't really see any of the graphical interface. You feel like you're doing like all this crazy stuff, but in reality, it's just like it's just like a little bit faster.
Interesting. So we're learning some OG pro tips on how to get an NFT faster than somebody like me who would probably go to Ocean Sea and just stare at it and go, "Ooh, what to do?"
OpenSea, yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, yeah, it was back in the day. It was very like when NFTs were like just crazy, ridiculously overpriced. Like you had Bored Ape Yacht Club, the monkeys. They
Yeah.
were going for over 100 ETH, like,
Yeah. I
and
don't
ETH
get
was at
that.
over $4,000 at that time. So that's like $400,000 for a monkey picture. That was like, yeah, this is a bubble.
Yeah, I think we were sitting on our money and it was burning a hole in our pockets, and some of us just said, "Hey, man, I got an eight. Look, and they're bored as COVID as we are." So,
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was
I get
just
it.
ridiculous the amount of money people were pouring into this stuff. It was just like, okay, yeah, I can see where people can think it's a scam, though.
Yeah.
People are
The
making a
reason,
lot or they're losing a lot.
yeah, but I noticed. I don't know if you're doing it, but I know some places they're using NFTs as a way to say, for example, they can get into playing a game. That's what we did with our hackathon game, right? We made an
Mhm.
NFT so we could uh, claim it and then use it to say yes, you can play this game, and then we could play the game. So that I've seen that. I've seen it to get into a Discord. I've even seen it for say you've done some work and you and a group have gone through it. It's like a here you go. It's almost like a if you were a diploma
Certificate.
or a certificate, yeah. And I'm seeing it in things that makes okay, that makes sense, right? It's not just a picture, but marking it's marking something that you've done and it gives you access to something else. And
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. That part's kind of
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So actually, me and Watase, we actually did a hackathon for E Global. Our project was called Mint
Really?
Ed. It's called Mint Ed, and
So what'd you
it's
do?
kind of
Tell
like
me
a
about it.
play on the words. So basically, it's a Web3 platform that is for education, and everything was fully on chain. And at the end of the course, you could mint an NFT for the certificate, and because everything's all on chain, you can see exactly who has it, who went through it, and people can't fudge the data. So take for instance, well, the idea is basically this. It's that educational institutions can give out these diplomas or these certificates and have it like say, okay, is what we validate as the course. right?
Right.
And so
Right.
if you go to an employer, you can validate, hey, this person went through this, right?
Yep.
Like, and it's a means of validation through that, right? Because nowadays, people can get a diploma, but who's to say that that diploma is a real diploma from this school? Nobody
Right.
checks that.
Yep.
They're like, oh, you went to Stanford. Oh, okay, cool. You went to Okay, cool. Like, they don't double check that information.
Yep.
So who's to say that they're even like truthfully saying that, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, like
For those of you who are watching, just to recap, so on chain is meaning it's on the blockchain, and the blockchain again, if you remember, it is a ledger that is transparent. Anybody can see it. If you can read it through fancy fingers like Skylor and use it for your advantage, there you go. It's immutable. It's hard to change. And it's also anonymous. Anonymity is there. Nobody really knows that it's you unless they can read hash. And I think most people smoke hash. So that's just not how it works. But in this case, what Skylar is saying is that it sounds like he and Sean Watasi were creating a project that allowed you to learn something, and then it goes on the chain, and then you can use it to validate when you go off, say, on a job interview or something else. It's not fake. That's the part about blockchain technology I think is really interesting, to stop shenanigans of fakedom. So
yeah,
just to reiterate what Skylar was saying.
yeah, and I think like there's so many more use cases, for blockchain technologies, especially because it in the future everything is going to be it's becoming more digital. Everything that we own is becoming more and more digital, and to that being said, like our our data is going to be very important, right? Like, how do you validate like this against something? Like, in the future, things can only be digital. Like, let's just take for example your Spotify membership or your Netflix subscription. Those things are purely digital products that you can't have as tangible assets. you know sure, you can have a code or something, but those live strictly digital. And I think as time goes on, there's going to be certain products that are like 100% digital, that NFTs can be utilized for, you know like, say
Mm,
if you have your Spotify membership, and you're just done with it halfway through the month. What if you can just turn around, sell it to somebody for like, half the price, and then you get back your $7 or whatever it is, and they get to discount, trial one or whatever they want to do, right? So at the end of the day, it's taking custody of your own data, right? Like your own, uh, yeah, it's like having a digital piece of property, almost like, right? You can actually have it. So I don't know. It's just it's gonna be in the future sometime, but it's coming.
can I pick your brain a little bit on that, which is, where do you think we'll be in 5 years in Web3? Have you any thoughts about that?
you know, I feel like I said, we're moving more to a digital society. At the end of the day, this technology has been proven for 10 plus years now, and it's gonna be around. Um, I just think that, like, AI is a craze right now, but
Right.
once you have like once you have AIs that are like autonomous, semi-autonomous, where they can do things for you, like agents,
Yeah.
it really goes to the fact that if they can have wallets, they can make purchases, they can start accumulating things, like, it gives so much more, like, like options that you can do. Like, AI and blockchain technology are like, they're literally made to go together.
I do
It's
hear a lot about AI. I think last year it was all about NFTs, and people were feeling what a joke that it was. This year with AI, I know that I've had people come to me and they're scared about it, and they're scared about the things is like ChatGPT, right? With writing a paper or doing things like that. But I've noticed that the conversations of AI is replacing the conversations of NFT, like the onks bit.
Yeah,
But it
I agree.
seems to be they go together in many ways. I mean, I know I use it for it to make my life easier when I'm writing something or check my code when I make a mistake. But some people are fearful of them for sure.
Hmm.
Um, Sorry.
No, no
Is there
worries.
any questions from the if you're watching this, if you have any questions about um, what Skylar's been doing with his community, which is called Blockchain in Paradise, which is a killer name, by the way. I love the name.
Yeah,
Um,
it's made by Chris, so he's the other founder. So shout out Chris.
Hi, Chris. Just throw your question in the chat, and we'll throw it at Skylar and see what he says. Okay, so and hello, Samuel Sal. Um, so, what are some of the things? Can we get back to what's building a community for Web3? What do you and Chris do for blockchain and paradise to build it up? And what is it that you need uh, to be more successful with your community?
Oh, that's a good question. We kind of just do a very casual meetup every once a month, every Friday. We just kind of meet up at Whole Foods and then we kind of do stealth beers outside. But it's I think we did have a big get together for I think it was Bitcoin Pizza Day, where it's
It's
kind of like a
funny.
troll on
Yeah,
it was kind of a troll on the Bitcoin pizza. Like somebody spent, like, I forget, it was
it was
over
heaps. It was heaps of Bitcoin just to buy a pizza.
yeah, and just one pizza, and he spent, like, I think it was like I want to say over 100 Bitcoin or something crazy like that.
So now it'd be
But
worth it. But back then, I wonder if the guy who got it kept the pizza. I mean, kept the Bitcoin. Who knows?
yeah, I have no idea. But so anyway, we had this meetup. We gave people free pizza. We partnered up with Pizza Dow and On Chain Monkeys, and Chainlink actually came and helped sponsor some drinks, like soft drinks and whatnot. And it was cool. We had a bunch of people show up, maybe probably like at least 30, 35 people. It was at the beach, and people just
Mm.
came, ate pizza, talked story. We met a lot of people in the community and stuff. You know, I just think it's really hard getting people to come out. you know, it's I think NFTs and like blockchain developers and all these kind of stuff they're very, like, I don't want to say like recluse, but they're kind of like introverted people,
They are exclusive, I would say.
and it's like, so I think, like, if we can get people out, it's hit or miss, but maybe giving away free stuff is always going to bring people out.
You
So
hear that? Pizza and beer will always bring you to
yeah,
the yard. All
yeah.
right. Yeah, we have that with UXA, User Experience Auckland. Um, we we do happy hours, and it's usually at a pub. Uh, we've had it sponsored before, but the past few months we've just been doing it on our own, which is it works. People to come out, and we mostly just sit and talk and catch up with each other because nobody understands what designers do or developers do. So when you talk to your own people, you don't feel so alone. So I feel it's the same way with going to the beach, having pizza, and then talking about, did you see that latest NFT, or are you using this code, or who knows,
Yeah,
something like that.
for
Um,
sure.
I have a question for you, if you don't mind uh, answering this. So, Catherine asked, can you elaborate more on how you think AI will affect digital art and NFTs in the future? It's a big question.
Oh, that's a good question. you
Yeah.
know I think AI will affect, especially art, because, like, now it's stable diffusion, and all of these things coming out now, it's like you can't even believe what's out there, like it's crazy, just to think about, like, if AIs can make their own art and sell it, like, as NFTs,
Ooh, yeah.
that's pretty crazy already. But coming from another perspective too, I've been getting into a lot of, it's called uh, open processing, and it's basically like generative art, where basically you use code to, draw or to make things like in this 3D canvas. Um, it's like HTML. Are you familiar with that? So, like,
Yeah, I am.
personally, yeah, personally, I don't really know all of the small little differences and stuff. So I can just go into ChatGPT and just put together all these crazy things that, you wouldn't have think were possible. Um, it's just, I don't know where it's gonna go, but I just know that all of these things are just gonna like meld together at one point, and then it's gonna produce, just a new type of technology almost.
I have about AI. Like I've used ChatGPT to set it up to say create prompts for Leonardo AI or something like that to make an image, and I'm testing things out because um, I think I mean I don't I'm on an art journey and I don't know how all artists do things, but I still like to do things in increments, or I like to do things where I try it out, and if I don't like it, I, try get rid of it and do it again, which is using a lot of paper. It's not good. So, because the environment. So I have been using Leonardo AI or Scenario GG, which we got introduced when we did our hackathon together, mostly to just kind of ideate to see, what do I think something looks like, and then if I like it just well enough, I'll sit there with a paper and pencil and then draw something out or explore it a little bit more in the real life world. Um, I use it in that way, and then the other thing I think I do is I use it to check my code if I get an error or maybe I'm missing something. Um, I have a question though for you. Do you? I was talking with some people at Blockspace. It was this man who's been doing Bitcoin for millennia. He's like an OG. He's like the goat, and he doesn't like to call them NFTs anymore. He likes to call them digital, say digital collectibles or digital something. I was wondering if you had anything like that where you're not using the word NFT in your community.
Yeah, I've heard that as well, and I think, like, oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, yeah.
But honestly, I think, like, NFTs, yeah, they do get a bad rap already. I think people associate it with, like, same as crypto, right? It's a scam. Um, and I think at the end of the day, it's not, NFTs is not just only digital collectibles, right? Like we were talking earlier, you can use it as an access token. You can use it to resemble uh, a membership to this certain, Discord, or
Like a
this,
loyalty
you know,
program too.
gym
Yeah,
membership or something like
yeah.
that. So it's not just, a digital collectible. Um,
I actually
so
like it in that way because I'm tired of holding things in my wallet. I wish I would have it, something on my phone that's an NFT to my gym or to something that just takes it off and I can move on with my merry life. But then that
yeah,
means I'm addicted to my phone. So there you go. I got another question for you. Lakeisha asks, what do you all see for your next steps with blockchain in paradise? Good question.
good question. Yeah, so for our community, we're starting off small and very casual. We're just trying to, build community, right? Like, build friendships, and, you know just connect with other people, like-minded people in the community. But, essentially what we want to do is we want to actually have enough pull to, like, pull off a conference here, because,
Mm,
I see all of these. We see all of these conferences going on in California, Florida. You know, they got all this Bitcoin, Miami, and all this kind of stuff. And it's like,
yeah.
you know, why don't we have it here in Hawaii? You know,
Yeah.
why don't we bring like big companies here in Hawaii and say like, hey, you know, we have people that, or we have an area that, you know, people are interested in this technology, right? You come here to do a conference. You know, we have hotels here. We have a huge convention center here. You know, it's just, why don't we do something here? You know, so I think that's kind of what sparked all of this. And, you know, also, you know, the legislation, right? Like, you know, we want to have a say in like what is getting passed in the government, you know, or show them that these things matter, and, you know, we have a
Mm.
presence here, right?
Well, I hope you guys
So
keep on doing that. I think that's a great idea uh, to see if you, because it's Hawaii. Come on, world. You
yeah,
know you want to go to the beach. So,
yeah, you know.
but I think those are good next steps. So I hope you and Chris, have something for the end of the year and start thinking what you're going to do next year for sure. So we're getting towards the end, and so I wanted to know, is there anything you recommend for people to learn, or maybe what are the three things they should know before? For some people are new, besides know what an NFT, know what a wallet is. I think understand what Etherscan is. Is there one more you think they should do?
um I would say, oh, there's so many things. uh you know, I think just use one of the dApps, connect your wallet to something like OpenSea, or, you know, mint an NFT.
Yeah,
You know, just use this ecosystem, and then, you know, once you start using it, you get comfortable with it.
yeah,
And I think, like, you know, it, to me, this stuff seems very, and especially in the beginning, it's very overwhelming. You know, you got all of these keywords and, you know, like buzzwords that, you know, passphrase, key phrase, private key, public key, all this stuff, and it's like, what's going on, right? Like, it's so complicated. But, you know, at the end of the day, like, that's just how technology is, right? Like, if you
yeah.
don't learn these things now, you'll get be left behind, essentially, right?
I think those are big words of wisdom. I've been wondering about this the whole time, and I would say the same thing. Learn it now so you're not left behind. Don't get scared of the technology. You're its boss. You know, it can't do anything except what you tell it to do. So,
Yeah.
absolutely agree with all that. That's really good wisdom there. Any more questions before we start wrapping this up? If you want to join blockchain, the other thing I was going to say is, join Blockchain in Paradise. Um, here's more information about them on their link tree, Blockchain Hawaii or HI or Hi Blockchain.
Yeah.
Hi Blockchain could have been it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
this is there's Discord. Oops. You know that I'm big on Discord. I just joined it actually because I didn't realize I wasn't in
nice.
the blockchain. So
Uh,
I didn't, I mean, sorry, the Discord. I was monkeying around. I'm like, I'm not in the Discord. So I just joined it today.
yeah.
And
It's on the
that's,
link tree as well. So,
yeah, it's on the link tree as well.
yeah.
Um,
So if you guys are ever coming to Hawaii, just, you know, hit us up. Maybe we can put together something, you know, for all the New Zealanders out there, wherever you're from. If you're interested in blockchain or wherever, just say what's up. You know, I always love to connect, introduce you to other people, you know, whatever, you know.
yep. Well, I want to thank you for coming. This was originally actually between Skylor and the challenge that we have is we have to use our government names, but we talk to each other in our Discord names. And so I have to remember it's Skylar and Dominique, and we were actually supposed to have Dominique and Skylar, so it was going to be the three of us talking. But she got called away. Had to be a big sister and do some. She got called away and had to fly in from Kauai to Oahu and Honolulu. But what I did is I had a talk with her beforehand and I recorded it, and it will be put up on our channel for you to watch. It's a lot of giggling, and you're gonna laugh because she's a very cheerful person, and it's just the same kind of talking about how you build a community in Web3. And I would definitely say it's a lot of laughter and just a lot of talking, getting together. Next week, we will have another talk, and this time it's with somebody who is working with Skylor. It's Ellen Ng from Founder, and they're actually doing something really cool that I can't share yet because they're not done with it. But she is an entrepreneur that makes NFTs or works with artists, NFT artists, for social impact. I always have she's a good conversationalist. She's got stuff to say. She's got an opinion. I always appreciate that. And you're lucky you get to work with her. I'm jealous. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, she knows a lot. She knows a lot.
And I guess you're doing the coding. I'm gonna maybe think, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But hopefully,
a lot of it.
Hopefully, because now you're a smart contractor and everything. And I think, in fact, I was reading. I think you're an environmental engineer.
I was, but
you're like,
not anymore.
No NFTs there. Yeah, I was. Oops. Sometimes I move too fast. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Vanessa. Some nice thank yous. Thank you. And if you liked what we did here, this is a series that is going on for the next few weeks. So consider subscribing so you can keep in contact for more. There's already stuff in the next week and the week after. And then we will have Sean, who you'll hear his name a lot. Again, these are all people in my secret sauce Web3 Hawaii collective that I joined, and really appreciate all my time with these people. Who knew that in the middle of the Pacific, such big brains talking about all this stuff is there, and they're sharing it with me. So I always feel really honored to be around them and to learn some of the things. If you want to join my Discord, that's it. It's some of you are already there, but it's mostly design. We just talk about design in Figma. So if you're into blockchain, maybe that's not it. And other than that, I just want to thank you for helping me get this going, kicking these talks off. And I'm sure we'll be
thanks for having me here.
I really appreciate all the mana'o, the wisdom that you are sharing from your expertise. And is there any last parting words before we say goodbye?
No, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Wish you well on this endeavor with Build Space.
It's been an interesting thing. Oh, and I got accepted into SheFi. So my next adventure is actually doing. It's all about learning decentralized finance, and it's kind of funny. It's something about finance is feminine or something like that. And so I just kicked that off this week. So I didn't even wait to take a breath before I'm moving on to my next adventure. That's another thing about projects in the Web3 space. It's like this.
Things move so quick.
There's always something. You barely can breathe, and you get another one that just shows up. So anyway, friends, thank you for coming. And one more comment before we go. It's a nice comment. Thank you, Catherine. We should talk. But everybody, take care. Talk to you later. And
thanks for having me.
Keep learning. Bye.
Okay. Bye.